Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Dave Rollins Experience podcast. Today, I want to talk about, if I can get this mic sorted, I want to talk about Enzo Maresca, Chelsea's new head coach, or he's not a manager, he's head coach, apparently. Yeah. I want to talk about Pochettino first, actually. So, anyone who's followed me on Twitter, it's at Tekabusum for anyone who's, anyone who wants to follow me there, but I've been a big fan of Pochettino all season. And I think overall he did a really good job. I liked Pochettino first of all. I feel like he was a likable manager. I feel like he's the type of manager that we look for in terms of how he conducts himself, in terms of his personality. And I feel like with time he would have won the fans over. Towards the end of the season, I know some of the most Poch out fans you could meet, and they were insulting him throughout the season, and I had many arguments with them about Pochettino. But even towards the end of the season, even they were saying that he should get time. He's done enough to get another 4 or 5 months, at least until January next season, right? And in the second half of the season, I know a lot of people don't like stats like this, but in the second half of the season, only Liverpool, Arsenal, and Man City had 1 more points than us. And obviously, a lot's been talked about our XG. I think our XG was 4th highest in the league as well. You only had to watch the games to see how much better we would have done had we had an actual striker, or had our strikers actually scored the goals they should have scored. Cole Palmer, for example, missed the sitter in the League Cup final, etc. There's so many moments like that. But anyway, Poch is gone. I am sad, but I also am hopeful that the fan base can now get back to a point where we're all in it together, because last season was really divided quite quickly, pretty much from sort of October onwards. You had the Poch out, you had the Poch in, and then there was no nuance between it. It was either you're in these two camps, and football fans are very tribal, so I'm just very happy that we're sort of back to a point now where we can all have a reset, and hopefully we can just back the manager. I'm personally someone who always backs the manager. I can't think of many managers apart from Rafa Benitez that I've sort of not liked from the off. Graham Potter, I never backed him in the sense of I felt like he was going to do well, but I was happy to give him the chance, right? But Pochettino is gone. It's a new era. It does seem like the interesting thing as well with Pochettino is people keep saying he's got sacked, but he actually left mutually. And it did seem and if you look at his interviews, leading up towards the end of the season, the last 4 or 5 weeks, he was obviously not very happy with what was going on. And I think it's interesting to see what the ownership actually wants from a manager. I don't know why they hired him really, but they obviously don't want someone who actually wants control over anything. They want someone to come in and manage the team, pick the team selection, probably take feedback from them about team selection, certainly not get involved with transfers. You get what you're given, sort of thing, and follow the vision of the club. That seems to be what they want. And he obviously wasn't that person. So wish Pochettino the absolute best of luck. Well, I say that now, he might end up managing Man United or something, but I think he's going to go somewhere else and do really well, and I hope he does, because I feel like he'll be looked back on as a manager that actually did very well given the circumstances, given the fact that he had key players out constantly. Christopher Nkunku was out the whole season, very young team. I think what he's done is built us a really strong foundation to move on. So yeah, best of luck, Poch. Maresca, not my first choice, not my second choice, probably not many people's choice at all, to be honest with you. It's a massive gamble, and we have given him a 5-year deal, which is very interesting. I don't know why we've done that. The only reason I can think we've done that is because they've obviously gone through this process, right? Apparently it's a very thorough process. That's what Sky Sports said. They've spoken to Zerbi, which again I didn't feel like he would have been a right choice either, to be honest. But they've spoken to Zerbi, they've spoken to Thomas Frank, they've probably spoken to others, and they've decided Enzo Maresca, despite the fact that he's never actually managed in the top division. I think he managed Parma for a little bit in the second division of Italy, and obviously he's done well with Leicester. But I think the thing with him is, I saw a quote, like, it was only like a month ago, where he was basically saying, I don't want to get involved with anything. I just want to manage a team and coach. And I feel like that's the reason they've hired him, because they've had this discussion. They've set out expectations. They said, this is what you'll be involved with. This is what you won't be involved with. We're going to get involved in this. You know, we might ask you to play a certain player or whatever. We're going to just hand you players and you just play them. And he's signed up to all of that. So the problem is with Enzo Maresca is we don't really have, like, any sort of track record to go by. We don't know what type of manager he's going to be. We don't know if he blows up in owners' faces like Thomas Tuchel, Jose Mourinho, Antonio Conte, you know. So it's going to be very interesting to see how it all plays out. I imagine for him, it's his dream move. He's playing for he's managing a big team. He gets to go up against Pep, who obviously he was working under. And he's got this awesome group of young players with a few signings to come in this summer. And you can see with Chelsea, like, as bad as we've been sometimes this season, we've also been fantastic. We've also gone toe to toe with Man City a couple of times. You know, there's clear potential there with some amazing players like Cole Palmer. Christopher Nkunku is insane if we can keep him fit. He's so good. Like, if we can just keep him fit, I honestly think he'll be, like, not far off Eden Hazard levels. Get a striker in, hopefully a couple of strikers in, get a good centre-back in, get a goalkeeper in, and ideally like a goal-scoring, like, inside forward. And I think we are clear top four, and we're well on our way to sort of getting back to sort of challenging again. Not next season, but maybe the season after. That's a very exciting prospect for a manager, right? If he gets the back in, if he gets the time. Now, will he get the time? We don't know. You know, we thought the owners were going to be a bit different, but, you know, you look at what they've done. They got rid of Tuchel. They got Potter, who was meant to be their man, got rid of him. You know, obviously brought in Lampard. He was interim anyway. And then Pochettino's actually done a good job, to the point where even his, like, harshest critics were saying, yeah, fair enough, he's, like, should be given time. And I don't think they've sacked him. They've basically not given him what he wanted, to the point where he actually wanted to stay. So I really don't know what to expect from Chelsea next season, because speaking to Leicester fans, despite what he did last season, like, the general consensus from what people I've spoken to is he almost bottled, like, if you want to look at it from a negative perspective, he almost bottled the league in the Championship with what is essentially a mid-table Premier League team. And apparently he's very rigid with his tactical system. You know, I'm thinking of, like, Maurizio Sarri, those type of people. Andre Villas-Boas never works out well, especially in the Premier League, because you have to be a very, very good manager to pull off what Pep's done. You know, that passing football. It's very hard to do that and, you know, win titles and win the Premier League. You sort of, unless you've got amazing players, you sort of have to choose what you want. So I think Maresca is probably going to play all the football we expect of him. It's going to be playing out from the back. It's going to be rigid. It's going to be inverted fullbacks, which is something he seems to love. I think he switches to, like, three at the back as well. He does that thing that a lot of younger managers seem to like to do, change formation sort of like mid-game depending on the circumstance. So we'll probably rotate between 2 or 3 systems. I'm just curious to see how he's gonna, like, play the likes of Enzo Fernandez, Caicedo, who's done very well, Nicholas Jackson, Cole Palmer. Where's Cole Palmer going to play? Is he going to play right wing? Is he going to be a bit more central? It's just going to be so interesting. And I am not personally that optimistic at the moment, just because of, like, it is a huge gamble. The guy's never managed at the top level. It could go very well. You know, yes, he's a Guardiola student, and he could end up being another Mikel Arteta, who's obviously doing very well at Arsenal, but he could also end up being a complete dud. So it's a strange appointment. It's a very strange appointment. I remember we were linked with, obviously there was like obvious links. We were linked with Xavi, we were linked with Thomas Tuchel, who would have been a great return. Um, we were linked with Jose Mourinho. Some people were saying, get Fabregas or John Terry in or something like that. Enzo Maresca, it's just an all-round very strange decision, but apparently they've put a lot of thought into it. It's been a thorough process. They've had long conversations with him about like where he wants to take the club, his knowledge of the Chelsea team, which is supposedly, and to quote, encyclopedic. So hopefully what we're getting is Pep Light, someone who's obsessed with football, who's obviously gone through the Pep Guardiola school. He wants to play attractive football, and he actually knows how to do it. One of my main concerns really is that because he is so rigid in how he plays, if it doesn't work, things could go wrong very quickly. And I feel like with the team we've got at the moment, I don't think we've got the players to like pull off what he probably wants to do. So unless we go out and sign, make a few like really awesome signings, I'm just very unsure about the level of quality in our team in terms of like playing that type of football. And I'm also very curious to see what he's going to do with the likes of Mudryk, because Mudryk is obviously here for the long haul. He's on a very long contract. I think he's still got like 7 years left. And I really like Mudryk, by the way. Like, I think he's got mass potential. However, he's not the smartest footballer. And his movement isn't great. He's very erratic with what he does on the ball and his finishing product and stuff. I don't think I don't think that type of football is going to suit a player like Mudryk, who is so raw still. I'm not saying he can't develop into that type of player, but I'm just not sure. And I'm just not sure this, like, we've tried this so many times over the last, like, 12, 13 years, like, this slow build-up play. And when has it ever worked? Like, Maurizio Sarri looked like he was getting it going to a point when we had, like, Jorginho and Kovacic, obviously we won the Europa League, and it looked like we had the building blocks for it, and then obviously he left. I just feel like we're so much better suited to just play direct football. And Chelsea fans, they seem to prefer that as well. We don't seem to have a lot of patience for these projects. Probably partially because no one sticks around for longer than 18 months. Like, I think to put something like this together, you really do need 3 years. Especially with the team we've got. Like, it's all right if you get dropped into Barcelona when you've got, Messi and Xavi and Iniesta and all this lot, but we don't have those players. Yes, we've got Caicedo, who the second half of the season, he was excellent. Like, I was really concerned about him and being a waste of time, but a waste of money, sorry, but he actually is looking like the player we thought we were going to get for the money we paid, which is really good news. Like, that's so fantastic, because he's only, 21, 22? So if we can get him, continue that form next season, it's going to be so key. Nicholas Jackson, I was a big fan of him early in the season, and then I think it became very apparent that he's not really a striker, and I stand by that. Like, his end stats are good, but for me, I think he could be like a really good squad player. I think he could be like the player who you play left forward, maybe you occasionally play right wing, and he can sort of fill in as a striker, like a really good like option as a third choice striker. So you have your two main strikers, and then you have Nicholas Jackson, who can sort of fill in on the wing, go on the right wing, whatever. But I still don't think he's a proper striker, and even like if he was to become that, we can't play him there enough next season if we actually want to get top four. Because at Nicholas Jackson top four as a striker, I don't think we're getting top four. If we go out and get like just a good striker, just like a poacher, they probably get like, well, at least I can only speak under Pochettino's team, but they probably get like 18, 20 league goals. So I'm not entirely sure what the plan is. I mean, he's obviously aware of the team, like his supposed encyclopedic knowledge. So I'm very curious to see what he's going to do. I'm also very curious to see what he's going to do with the likes of Cucurella, who obviously was playing as an inverted fullback towards the end of the season and doing very well. Enzo Fernandez as well. Enzo Fernandez isn't someone who's didn't play very well last season. He had a very bright start. He's obviously a very smart footballer. I'm just not entirely sure where he fits in. Does he play deep? Does he play number 10? So it's going to be a very interesting start to the season. I never get particularly involved in preseason just because it doesn't tend to mean anything. Like, the football Pochettino was playing in preseason was very different than what we played, in the actual league season. But there's the hope I'm holding on to, as I think many fans are, is that he's from the Pep Guardiola school, and he has done well with Leicester. Like, I think he got them like 96, 97 points. I know it's the Championship, but he still did it. So, I know. Maybe we've ended up, with our manager for the next 5 years, which would be awesome, because I would love a stable manager, someone who actually sticks around and builds something. Someone who we can, get attached to and not be scared that he's just going to be fired in 9 months. So you sort of become a bit apathetic towards our managers, because you're like, well, they're not going to stick around anyway. So I think we have like reason for optimism given the squad we have and given the age. Like, our squad is so young. I think people kept forgetting that last season. I think we had the youngest average age, even with Thiago Silva in the starting lineup, which is mad. And there are signs there that we could be a very good team if we just add a bit of quality here. Like, I think we need a goalkeeper. I like Petrovic, but I don't think he's the man. We definitely need a centre-back. I'm very curious to see what Wesley Fofana is going to look like after his injury. Striker, ideally 2 strikers, depending on how much we trust Nicholas Jackson. And I personally would love to get rid of Raheem Sterling, because I don't rate him at all. And get someone in who's like a wide player that can score goals, that can contribute, 10 league goals. That'd be awesome. And then I think, given that, and combine that with Caicedo and Enzo Fernandez, the talent we've got in there, I don't know whether or not Gallagher's going to stay. This is another thing. And Trevor Chalobah is apparently going as well, for cheap, by the way. It's going to be very curious to see like what we end up with at the end of the summer and what Enzo Maresca actually has to deal with. But if I still feel like if we can keep Christian and Nkunku fit and have him in the same team as Palmer, and then have like the explosiveness of Mudryk on the left-hand side. We've obviously got Madueke as well, who looked really good last season for what he is. And then obviously Nicholas Jackson, who clearly improved. Christopher Nkunku and Palmer, Reece James, Chilwell, Caicedo. They're really good players who are like improving, by the way. Reece James is still improving. Palmer clearly has like a much higher ceiling, even though despite what he did last season, he has a very high ceiling. Christopher Nkunku is generally like a ready-made, like potentially world-class player now. Get a striker up there who can put the ball in the back of the net. I think we get top 4. I think we maybe even get 3rd, depending on what Liverpool do. Because obviously they haven't got Klopp now, so there's reason for optimism. I'm just very. I just feel like we're venturing into the unknown with Enzo Maresca. It is a huge gamble. This needs to pay off. I hope that he has a good start, because I think if he doesn't, the fans are just going to be like, well, this is not a bunch of nonsense. Of course he isn't going to do a good job. He hasn't got any experience. And then the tide will turn, and then the boos will ring out, and then we're going to be in the same situation in a year's time. But what I hope happens is he has a good start, gives us reason for optimism, isn't as rigid with his tactics as people are saying he is, and he actually gets time. Like, this 5-year contract actually means something, because that'd be great. Like, just get into top 4 next season. We need to focus on in a year's time as well. This is the other concern I've got, is that if we have another like Graham Potter season, what's Cole Palmer going to think? What's Caicedo going to think? What's Christopher Nkunku going to think? These are players that, Nkunku could go anywhere right now, really, but Cole Palmer, in a year's time, he's going to be, like, potentially a superstar. He could be one of, like, have the makings of one of our best ever players. He's that good. Nkunku, obviously, if he can stay fit, he'll have offers from everyone. And then you've got Caicedo, you know, Enzo Fernandez. These are big name players with like big brands, who, again, could pretty much sign for anyone. Like, we're very lucky to have them. Well, not lucky. We spent 200 million on them, but yeah, it's these are type of players who, like, I just don't think they'll stick around if we're not challenging for, you know, minimum top 4, ideally top 3, really. That's a concern. So I don't know. It's going to be an interesting few months. I just really hope we're not going to have another shitty season, because I feel like the last like 2.5 years has been so shy as a Chelsea fan. There's like optimism, and then it's like, yeah, just darkness for months on end. So yeah. Anyway, if you like this episode, like it, subscribe, all that good stuff. If you want to listen to it as well, you can also listen on the on Spotify. And yeah, I'll catch you on the next one.